3, 2, 1. Satnam and welcome. Today, we're talking about the challenges of heading back to school. So whether your kids are in elementary school, middle school, or in high school, we've got some solutions for you. And it's really about returning back to school consciously. So this is a big turnaround. It's a big turnaround going back to school in a regular time. But now in the COVID era, there's a whole other level of sensitivities that we need to be aware of. So as conscious parents, we thought this would be a really good time to circle back and start off our fall season with some new information. And joining me today for that is one of my favorite people, Sheliza. Sheliza, Satnam, mother, first and foremost, educator, yogi, and counselor. So all of those things put together make you a really good resource for this particular session. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. And so what we'll do, how we'll set this up is Sheliza will go through and explain what the challenges are of going back to school. We have identified 5 things. And when she's identified each one, I will come with some Kundalini or yogic solutions that you can use to either hack your nervous system, you or your child, and ways to advocate for your mental health, both for you and your child. All right, so welcome for the conversation. My name is Salimah, yoga therapist, and this is your first time stumbling upon our channel. Thank you so much for finding us. Here we do Kundalini yoga for transformation, for leadership, and for impact. Thank you so much for being here. And for those of you who've been around for a while, all my heart and my love goes to you. Thank you for your emails and your suggestions for our content. All right, Sheliza, over to you. Can you start us off with number 1 on your list of the challenges that kids and parents are facing and educators are facing as we head back to the classroom?
Okay, well, it seems to be like a big puzzle, and everyone's trying to piece together what goes where and what matches and what fits. Now, there are a lot of changes going on around the community and in and around even the school environment. So going back to school after COVID is a new reality for most of us, okay? Actually, for all of us. Doing things that we haven't done in such a long time, we have to kind of jog back the memory and kind of create a newness for ourselves, something to step into, something to welcome ourselves into. And though the community is waiting for us, we all have things that are going on in our minds and bodies that we need to acknowledge as conscious parents, teachers, and children as well. So one of the first things that I notice is the anxiety. And so separation anxiety for kids and for us parents is huge. We've been with our children for over a year now. And though I still have a lot of hair left, sometimes you just want to get, you want to like go away, or you want to like allow them to go here and there. And then you really realize that I miss this time. I'm going to miss this time with them. And there is some anxiety around leaving your child, allowing them to go into this school environment and having to be masked, etc. There's definitely going to be some separation anxiety of insecurities as well, and leaving home or having your child in group settings where they're not actually used to being in group settings anymore. So there's a newness around that. And so, yeah, I see anxiety everywhere in the workplace. I see it at home. I see it around me in the parks. And so how we deal and manage the anxiety is very important.
Okay. And I think, you're absolutely right that mental health is number 1. I think we've come to realize that physical health is one aspect of feeling good and wellness, but mental health is just as important. Spiritual health is just as important. Okay, so from a yogic perspective, here's what I'd like to offer into the conversation. And that is number 1, to use the body unto itself. So anxiety shows up here, oftentimes fluttering in the chest, oftentimes tightness in the belly. And when our kids or we are showing that kind of symptomology, then it's a really good way to identify. So scanning the body. Let's talk about us as parents. Scanning the body, recognizing, realizing, oh, I'm short of breath. Oh, I feel a little bit of panic, or I'm future planning or future fearing what's going to happen, that's an important signal inwardly. So the first thing that I would suggest is a breathing technique called superhero breath. And this is a really good way to expel energy and a really good way to just signal in the moment, hey, something's up. And that's a really simple breathing technique. It's 3 sniffs and a pow, superhero breath. And so let's do all of these things together. We're going to demonstrate, I'm going to demonstrate, and I hope that you follow along. If your kids are still awake or you're watching this in the rerun, do it together, right? So here it goes, superhero breath. Sounds like what it is. So imagine that fear, imagine that trepidation, imagine that, you know, that kid that you don't really want to talk to, or that teacher that you don't really want to talk to. You can think about just blowing them away, a very innocent kind of experience. One more. So 3 sniffs and a pow. And that will generally take us from a feeling of to, okay, all right, okay. And I've got my my big girl panties on, and I can handle this thing. And I can handle my child who also needs my love and support and needs guidance, and just pull us together. Now, I want to say that each of these techniques, the best time to teach them is outside of the moment. So when there's a moment of panic or overwhelm or frustration, all of that we're going to talk about today, to do this learning when everybody's calm and relaxed, right? So it's building a skill. You know, when you're going on a bike ride, or you're going to pick up the mail or walk the dog, that's the time to have the conversation about what to do and how to identify, not in the moment. That in the moment is really about managing the symptoms, but outside of the moment is the teaching experience. Okay, so that's the first one that I would offer. The second one, you can pair this or you can just leave them separate, is to take a deep inhale and squeeze your hands into fists. And when we do this, you can squeeze your hands, your face, your feet, everything in between, a really tight squeeze. We're hacking the nervous system, and we're allowing that energy to dissipate. So again, it's a breathing technique. This one has a little bit more of a body sensation to it. And one more time, inhale. So 3 is the magic number. So the first one, superhero breath, and then this one, clenching the fists and bypassing the nervous system, resetting the nervous system. Great for kids, great for parents, great for everybody. Try that out, see how you like it. Sheliza, on to number 2.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so the second one is getting back into routine. So going to bed early, waking up early, having really good nutrition, starting that even actually now, making sure that your kids, if they're of age, to be able to prepare their own snacks and their own meals, trying to figure out what they like to eat, so that they feel comfortable enough when they go back to school to know that there is some sameness. There is some, you know, commonalities between when I'm at home, I get to choose what I eat, and when I'm at school, I created my own meals anyways. So having that routine set up and creating a routine with the child. So getting back into the routine, I find, is a tough challenge as well. And preparing for the routine. So having some we time with our children, having some me time, having some you time. It's very important, all of that. So getting into new sets of routines so that we're building different neural pathways and allowing ourselves to kind of reconnect differently now, and gearing up to the routine and the back to school movement of it all.
Right. Yes, we sort of, you know, we took an extended summer. You can look at it that way, all the closures, and particularly here where we live. Lots of closures, so the kids have been out of school for a long time. Plus, it's been summer, so we've just been whooping it up. I could speak for us as a family. Okay, so here are some ideas and suggestions for that. It is, as conscious parents, we know that meditation is really helpful and impactful. And the way to slot that in, we talked about sleep and eating. One way to do that is to really think about where can we embed those mindfulness techniques into the day. So if your kids are morning people, mine is, then the idea of starting off in the morning with some intentions. How do you want to feel today? What do you want to do today? Who do you want to meet up with? Who do you want to play with? That's an easy way to start the day with a ritual. Rituals are very important. They signal, the body works best in repetition and routine. So a ritual says, hey, something's about to begin. And there's an anticipation then, oh, I thought about it, it's going to happen. So there's some positive reinforcement we can do in the beginning of the day. And then in terms of the evening, same things. If your kids are a little bit easier to go to bed, then maybe that's the time. Or a ritual at bedtime can be a way to ease bedtime anxiety as well. So some things that can happen at bedtime is a meditation, is a breathing practice, hands over the heart, a gratitude practice, something where we're taking time together to signal the end of the day and to recap it in some way in a mindful, loving opportunity. So those are some of the suggestions we have around that. I think, Sheliza, the idea of meal prep is really good to do that together. So there's some choice involved. It's not just what you've decided or what we've decided, but rather what we have all collectively decided to do. And signals are really an opportunity to do some of that share, to lighten the load actually, because that can all be a big burden for whoever's prepping lunch.
That's right. And I also wanted to check back with you about the routine when you're talking about who do you want to play with today? Who are you going to hang out with today? It's really important to make a connection with your child in knowing who their friends are and knowing who they're excited to talk to and talk about or play with or, be doing group work with, and even to getting to know their teacher a little bit more too. What kind of questions are you going to ask your teacher? What do you want to know about them? What do you want them to know about you? What kind of strengths and what kind of things that you need so that the teacher can provide that for you, accommodate for you so that you can build on that strength.
Absolutely. And all your years as a teacher is coming in handy now. So thank you for that. I think too, there are opportunities to know what your kids find interesting or find challenging, and to also use those as opportunities.
That's right.
We'll get into that a little bit more when we get to frustration, but I think it's worthwhile to say that we can spend some time blessing everyone around us. That can be part of the experience too. I'll say more about that when we get there. Okay, number 3.
Okay, number 3 is frustration. So children, adults, we all go through this. Being frustrated, being frustrated about being around others and the rigors of being in school. So the different demands that we have on our plate now, going into the building at school or just as a parent, being able to prep everything before you get to work, in your new schedule and all of that. And so even for children, again, the demands of the classroom, being able to be supported, sitting all day and being masked, having different kinds of rules in school than you do at home. So these are all things that could really make someone frustrated.
Right, absolutely. So frustration, from a yogic perspective, is really about opening the gateway of energy. And the gateway of energy is really about kindness. And so can we find ways to offer loving kindness? That's a tradition, a meditation tradition, where you actually think about all the people who come into our day-to-day life and recognize their humanity. So was there somebody today who you felt close to? Okay, let's send a blessing to them. Let's say send a prayer to them. Let's send good wishes their way. Is there somebody who you felt frustrated with today? Okay, let's think of them. Let's send a blessing towards them. Let's do all of that. And that way we sort of bring an equilibrium, and we remember that everybody's human. Everyone's doing the best they possibly can. And conflict is normal. And that's okay too. So I think kindness is one, loving kindness, offering peace and blessings to the people in our lives, however form they take, whether it's positive or not so positive or challenging. And then the second one, and this would be easier for younger kids, is to do some kind of body awareness. And by body awareness, you can put your hands up and have your child push against your hands. So in a moment of frustration, they come up against you and push against your hands. And it's not a struggle, it's not a fight, it's just getting the energy out. And it's really effective. It's a great way to build laughter, because sometimes it ends up being a little funny and giggly because it's expelling energy, and a great way to, again, hack the nervous system. And we're using the body unto itself. There's the frustration is here, and let's get it out using the body too. So I'll add to that, getting outside, writing it out, jumping it out, playing it out, whacking a ball, whacking a racket, taking a baseball, just going at it, because what we hold here needs to get out. And that's the basis of health. So if we don't need to carry it, let's see if we can find healthy ways to expel.
I completely agree. Yeah, just being able to create another way to expel the energy with all of the range of emotions that we have, whether it's laughter, whether it's crying, whether it's just being surprised, or someone scaring you by accident, or even on purpose. It's just expelling that energy, as you mentioned. So we don't want it to sit in our chakras and in different areas of our bodies. Instead, we actually want our bodies to just be flow like energy. So
awesome. Okay, good. Number 4.
Okay, so number 4 is overwhelm. So oftentimes we feel frustrated, but we also feel overwhelmed. Too many things on the list, too many things to do, too many people to see or places to go, and drop-offs and pickups and things like that. As parents, we're thinking about, and for kids too, what am I going to wear first day of school? What am I going to eat for lunch? Who's going to talk to me? Am I going to be the one sitting at the buddy bench? All of these confidence builders also gives you a lot of sense of overwhelm, I feel. And, being masked and being in school, being a student who has to sit in class all day and going through different measures, or even being in an online learning program. There are different measures that we have to take into place, and being overwhelmed is one of them. How much homework am I going to get, or what am I going to learn today? Am I going to understand? And also understanding that being overwhelmed is very natural at this time of year. Knowing that kids are, it's not to say that we've missed, a lot of people say, oh, my kids have missed so many months of school and a year of school and this and that. It's more like they've been building skills. Otherwise, they've been doing other things. And so coming back to school is going to be new. It's going to be overwhelming. And us educators know that. We are not going to come and give you a test on the first day. That's not how it's going to be. It's going to be supportive. It's going to be communicative. And, the more we can help support, the less the overwhelm. But definitely that word overwhelm is everywhere right now.
Absolutely. And you're right. From all the teachers that I know right now who are scrambling about getting back into the classroom and setting up their rooms or setting up their learning platforms online, like it's a big job for everybody. So for the kids, just as much, like just as you said, the process of learning can be overwhelming. So I appreciate that. The meditation that I think would be a good fit for this is one of my favorites. It's great, works great with kids. And it's done with the fingers. So it's a very tactile type of meditation. And the words, the affirmation and the words are in English. So it's easy for everyone to pick up. It's great for the classroom. And so when there's a moment of overwhelm, or at the end of the day when you're winding down, or at the beginning of the day when it's everyone's rushing to get on the bus, here it is. It's peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. Will you do it with me? Peace.
Peace begins with me.
Peace begins with me. Last round. Peace begins with me. Good. And then you can end with a big squeeze and a little breath. Peace begins with me. So depending on how old your kids are and their ability to take up that particular meditation, could be 5 repetitions, could be 3, could be 10. It's so open. That one's very open. You can pick your own 4 words. The movement of the fingers, the mudras here are very important. They stimulate different hemispheres of the brain. It's a really great way to also relax into the fact that it happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the sensation of that mudra is actually very beautiful. So if you have a child who's younger or isn't able to have their fingers touch their thumbs, you can actually do it for them or actually have them point to their fingers. So that way they'll be able to understand that there's an inhale and an exhale that goes with it as well.
Mm. We've also done using the fingers a breath on each one.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
So that's really beautiful. You can also do peace begins with me as a circle around a palm of the hand. And so all of these techniques are tactile, very sensory, and also an ability, just stop, drop, and meditate. Let's try it out. So again, a little reminder, not necessarily in the moment that the overwhelm is happening, but outside teaching and training. And then when something is going on, a heightened sense of overwhelm is happening, you can introduce it, and it might just be the thing that takes everybody off the edge, ourselves included.
That's so true. Yes, I know our kids tell us all the time, Mommy, that really worked, thanks for that. And it's nice to hear that feedback. It's really joyful.
Absolutely. Okay, number 5.
All right, the last one is the silos of information regarding COVID. So different perspectives that people are having, vaxxed, unvaxxed, things like that. Just knowing that we're all a community. We work together, we are together, and to kind of take away all of that and be at ease, be at one.
Yeah, lots of different opinions. And, opinions are cheap and cheerful. Everybody has one. And I think that, part of what I hear you saying is that it's important to know that when we're talking about something with a certain perspective in our households, it might not be true for our next door neighbor. And it might not be true for the person across the way. And now all these kids are coming together and they're really purveyors of our opinions. And so the more open and willing we are to take in other perspectives, I think the better off our kids are, knowing that they're also going to encounter friends whose parents think differently. So, that's part of the mix. Part of what I would suggest here, so out of these silos, is to come back to the heart space. And that's doing some long, deep breathing with hands over the heart. And so when an issue's been identified, Amma, my son calls me Amma, so-and-so doesn't believe in wearing a mask, or, my friend won't talk to me because such and such, whatever that happens to be, whether that's just regular childhood stuff or that's something to do with COVID and the politicization of the issues around that, is to come back to the heart space. And take a few deep breaths into the heart. And that's very simple. That's 3 breaths. We've used the magic number 3 a lot. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And I think what this really teaches our children, this particular type of experience, is that it shows our kids that feelings are okay. That it's okay to feel sad when you feel like you're losing a friend, or that you don't see eye to eye with somebody that you care for or that you have been close to in the past. And in all of that emotional, what do we call it?
Social emotional learning.
Okay, so we were debating on that last night. So social emotional learning, that it's so important, and it starts with us. So if we're willing to say, yeah, there are sad moments, there are angry moments, there are good moments, there are joyful moments, and embrace them, then our kids have that opportunity to. Anything you want to throw into the mix now that we've...
Yeah, I want to just say, our well-being and our mental health and all of that is all interconnected with our children and our community and our students, and so it's crucial for us that our overall growth as a collective is something that we take in really seriously and at, at front and center. I was talking with some of my colleagues today, and we were saying, if the educators' mental health is not in a good place, then our students are not going to be in a good place. So making sure that we are all collectively in a good heart space to enter the new school year or enter the workforce or enter whatever we're doing now come September and all this newness that this month has to offer. It's very important that as a collective, we're growing and we're consciously learning that we have emotional needs. Our mental health is very important. And though we keep talking about it, taking the time, Salimah, as you mentioned, and doing those techniques, actually putting that into play, not just listening to it or not just hearing different slideshows or hearing it on the news, but using your body to inhale and exhale those breaths when you hear some new information or whatever it is, and actually doing it.
Absolutely. Reading about it is one thing, doing it is another.
Yes.
Right, super. So a couple things we want to close with is it's back to school for the kids, and the Kundalini Yoga Teacher Training Program is starting up again. So if that's been on your mind for you yourself as an adult learner wanting to know more about Kundalini Yoga, then please do send me an email, love.yogavision@gmail.com. And you can also check the website, yogavision.com, for more details. Sheliza is a mentor for that program. I'm the lead instructor. We have lots of good learning to do in the year ahead, and also many techniques to hand over to our kids as well. So it becomes like a legacy. It's not just for us, but it's about everybody that we touch in the community. So that's number one. Number two, this is September. And September, from a numerological perspective, is about using our intuition and handling everything with grace. And when we do it with grace, that means we give a little bit of room for people to make mistakes. We give a little bit of room for ourselves to make mistakes. And as we do that, we become more kind, more conscious, and less willing to be harsh about how we're handling the ins and outs of our day, the ebb and flow of our day. There's no perfect. We're all perfectly imperfect. And so let's offer grace in that experience. And then third of all, what's coming down the pipeline for you guys, our amazing viewers out there in YouTube land, is a whole new series starring myself and Sheliza. And this series is about divine intervention. So 3 videos coming. The release dates will be up very soon. And I hope you enjoy that series. And please do drop me a line and let me know how you're liking it. And for this series right now, drop a comment below. Let us know where you're calling in from. What are the biggest challenges you see for your kids? And which techniques will you be using to help your children as they transition back? And which ones might you use for yourself? Until next time, my name is Salimah, yoga therapist. Sheliza, thank you for being here today. It's always a pleasure to be with you online. And to all of our Kundalini yoga practitioners out there, Satnam, and it's so good to be back with you. Bye for now.